Many thanks for joining us at this hour. My name is Lillian Mulikanen and this is Live at 1. Gatundu South Member of Parliament Josie Ngugi is dead. Ngugi collapsed at his Runda home this morning and was rushed to Nairobi Hospital's Gigiri branch where he was pronounced dead on arrival. His body is lying at the Lee Funeral Home where his immediate family members and colleagues in the National Assembly converged to eulogize him. Francis Kashuri has the details.
Gatundu South constituency is mourning following the demise of its representative in the August House, Josie Ngugi. The first-time parliamentarian collapsed this morning at his Runda home while taking a shower and rushed to Nairobi Hospital's Gigiri Medical Center, where attempts to resuscitate him were unsuccessful. Grief engulfing his immediate family members who converged at the Lee Funeral Home, where his remains are lying. His parliamentary colleagues mourning the loss of the first-time lawmaker.
For me, I can only say death is so cruel because it's so final, so total, irreversible, period. And we just have to accept it like that.
The 45-year-old legislator took over the leadership of a constituency that was represented by President Uhuru Kenyatta in the 10th Parliament and by the country's founding father, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta.
The president has already been informed, like you are aware. That is the constituency where the president comes from. He has already been informed, and no other protocols they have been informed. For us as members of Parliament is to join hands and pass our sincere condolences to the family because this death is so sudden.
Ngugi's burial date has not yet been determined, and members of Parliament are this hour meeting his family members in Runda to establish a committee that will oversee the preparations for his send-off.
And we all appreciate that Honorable he's popularly known as Jose, and he was very liked by his constituents. He was very dynamic, and it's a great loss, taking into account his age and his work in the constituency. It's a great loss to this country. It's a great loss to Parliament.
The MP's family members and colleagues in the August House could not confirm reports that he succumbed to a heart attack, only stating that he was in good health last evening and this morning before his sudden death.
And as far as I know, personally, he was very close to me. Jose was okay. He was fine. Even yesterday at 9 at night, I talked to him. And so for me, I don't know of any illness. Because for all the time I used to be with him, even today I was expecting him in the gym in the morning. So I don't know of any illness. So this is just one of the things that leaves you with no answers. But
for now, the August House mourns the loss of one of its members, while the Gatundu South constituents bear the demise of their lawmaker. Francis Gashuri, Citizen Live at 1.
26 students from public universities were today arraigned in court for engaging in riots and destroying property. The students who pleaded not guilty were released on a cash bail of 500 shillings. The court issued warrants of arrest against 2 students who went on rampage yesterday and street battle, increase in fees given by the Higher Education Loans Board. The ugly riots left motorists and traders counting losses as rowdy students robbed them. The protests disrupted learning in most universities across the country. The government says it is still not aware who returned to Treasury 1 billion shillings related to Anglo Leasing contracts. National Treasury Principal Secretary Kamau Thoga says Treasury has never known who wired back to Treasury the funds relating to 5 cancelled Anglo Leasing contracts. He was speaking during a parliamentary committee meeting probing the controversial Anglo Leasing contract. Sylvia Chebet is following the proceedings and now joins us live on phone from Parliament. Sylvia?
Well, this has been a very interesting grilling session. The Principal Secretary for Treasury and the Senior Deputy Solicitor General are appearing before the Public Accounts Committee over the Anglo Leasing matter. And so far, we haven't yet been told whether the 1.4 billion shillings that have been the subject of various, debate lately has been paid yet. Hopefully they will come back at 2:30 to answer that. But as of now, they have been dealing with the question of there is some 1.1 billion shillings that the Solicitor General and the Principal Secretary have confirmed were refunded with respect to some 5 contracts that were cancelled and that were terminated. But 1 billion shillings was refunded. So the committee is asking who refunded this money, and in the first place, when Treasury was paying, who was it paying to? So those are the questions that the two have not been able to really answer. In fact, they were reading some documents which they said were signed, but they can't tell exactly whose signatures those were, and they have been asked to ask the central bank governor to shed more light on this. In fact, they've been given 24 hours to look for that information so that the committee can then move forward, because they're thinking, rather the feeling here is that really this was fraud through and through. How did the government engage with people whose names they can't even print where their signatures are, Lilia?
Right, and Sylvia will continue to update us on this developing story in our subsequent bulletins, so stay tuned. Thank you for that update, Sylvia. And let's move on now. And 10 people were injured, one of them critically, after unknown assailants hurled 3 grenades in 3 separate locations in Garissa town last night. Esther Kahumbi has the details.
The attack occurred at about 7:30 last evening. The 3 grenades were hurled simultaneously at different locations in Garissa town.
Kutokea hivi kuna customer alikuwa anaingia kwangu ndani kumusia credit. Nikammusia akaenda akascratch hapa mbele ya kioo. Sasa kurudi nyuma hivi ile mlipuko ndio ilizidi zaidi. Akakutana nayo ikamngonga, akaningonga tukaingia naye ndani kwa counter.
The explosions happened right after police got reports of an unexploded grenade at a hotel in the town.
There was an explosion near Nur Mosque in Garissa Ndogo, of which we went there. There were some victims who were injured.
10 people were injured in the explosion, one of them critically injured and has been airlifted to Kenyatta National Hospital.
We have not arrested any suspect, but we are following some leads to that effect.
Esther Kahumbi, Citizen Live at 1.
And members of parliament affiliated to Jubilee have challenged their counterparts from the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy to make good their threats of impeaching President Uhuru Kenyatta. The Jubilee MPs say CORD has run out of ideas on how to undertake its opposition role and have instead resorted to making empty threats. The Jubilee MPs have dared CORD to bring a motion of impeachment to both houses as soon as the National Assembly resumes its sittings next month.
Jubilee members of parliament have dismissed threats by members of the CORD coalition to send President Uhuru Kenyatta packing as a mere attention-seeking propaganda, saying the attempt will not get anywhere. The Jubilee legislators dared CORD members to bring it on.
We are already waiting for them as Jubilee.
This is part and parcel of the scheme to sabotage the government.
Correct.
We are aware that when they realize that we are unlocking the funding, which was built in the 2013-2014 budget, 132 billion will come to this country in the next few weeks. So they realize that now the economy will be on track and they will lack anything to say in 2017.
They are running scared because Jubilee is going to implement his manifesto. And that is quite clear. And us as Jubilee, we are going to support the president to carry out all this mandate. So we are waiting for them. Come 6th June, 7th June, we shall be there in numbers to see what they will do.
To beat the president, you require 2/3. They don't even have the numbers to have a half. They cannot even reach even a third, leave alone 50%.
The MPs contend it would be a tall order for CORD to execute their plan, given their numbers in the House.
That shows a party which is bankrupt of ideas. I think it is a coalition that is disintegrated. They are just looking for relevance which is not there anymore. They have actually they have been defeated to manage their affairs.
when they say the government has failed, who has failed? Let me ask you. Who has failed to develop our constituencies? Who has failed to develop our counties? The government has implemented the constitution the way it is. In fact, they have even overdone it because they have transferred all the functions within 1 year instead of 3 years.
I think maybe we need to ask their leader. Maybe he needs to come back so that his coalition stands again, because as it is now, it is a very directionless coalition.
In an apparent change of heart, the Jubilee MPs declared their support for the president's decision to pay the 1.4 billion shillings owed to 2 Anglo Leasing companies, saying the benefits far outweigh the consequences of not paying.
And police in Migori town are holding a member reported to the police by the miner's mother. The MCA will be arraigned in court soon after the investigations are complete.
Wakati polisi wamekamata huyo suspect, sasa raia wakawa unruly to them, wakaanza kuwatupia mawe. So ndio polisi wakati wanajikiga, ndio huyo mtu akatoroka akaenda mafichoni.
In a bid to promote tourism and agriculture, residents of Narok County now want the Treasury to allocate funds for construction of 2 major roads within the county in the coming financial year. Speaking before a parliamentary budget and appropriation committee in Masai Mara University, the chairperson of Narok Central Business Association, David Olesankok, urged the Treasury to allocate funds for both the Narok and Masai Mara and Narok Nakuru roads in order to boost local and national economy.
Local and national economy.
We are humbly requesting for the immediate tarmacking of Narok Masai Mara road and the Narok Nakuru road, because the economical potential of these 2 roads goes beyond Kenya borders.
Pastoralist representative Alex Ntekere said funds should be allocated for value addition and delivery of veterinary services in order to maximize the profits accruing from pastoralism activities.
Pastoralism or livestock farming supports about 80% of households. So it's actually the main economic livelihood of these communities.
A member of the Committee on Budget Hearing, Engineer Stephen Gary, said the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure will complete road projects that had been initiated in the region to promote agriculture and tourism within the county.
And property worth millions of shillings was destroyed today when Agriculture Ministry demolished structures erected on a piece of land belonging to the Kenya Veterinary Vaccines Production Institute in South B, Nairobi. The institute wants to repossess the land for purposes of expansion. The land had been developed by private investors who claim to have genuine title deeds for the said property. There was drama when Nairobi Senator Mike Sonko, accompanied by some of the investors, stormed the site to stop the early morning demolitions. President Uhuru Kenyatta had to intervene after Senator Sonko called and beseeched the president to stop the demolitions until further discussions with Kivevapi are concluded. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Felix Koskei suspended demolitions of completed houses and have people living in them until further notice.
Excellency, mawaziri wote washiki simu, afadhali wewe umesaidia kwa sababu wanabomoa kanisa Winners Chapel, the largest church in Eastern Central Africa sir. Hapa balozi nyumba worth 10 billion, your excellency, sasa zinaenda kubomolewa. Niko hapo sahi na Kosgei waziri. Ni nani anabomoa? Waziri Felix Kosgei, your excellency sir, huyu minister wa agriculture, na niko na correspondences na yeye, nimemwandikia barua akanambia abomoi. Sasa ako hapa, wananchi wanabomolewa manyumba akiwa ndani, your excellency sir. Hiyo sasa wacha nisimamishe sasa. Thank you sir. Thank you very much sir. Thank you very much.
This morning His Excellency the President called me and asked me to give more time to the people that have fully developed their properties. And we hereby suspend that one for now. But we are going to continue pursuing them. We want them to move with speed to ensure that those people who sold them this land are brought to book. They don't have to waste a lot of time taking Kevevabe to court. They need to take those who sold them land to court.
Right. Last week, President Uhuru Kenyatta gave more powers to county commissioners, saying they would complement the government by discharging the duties of the national government that are yet to be devolved to the counties. Now, the move angered the Council of Governors, which accused the national government of trying to stifle them. The governors say the national government's move will kill devolution and duplicate jobs. For more on this issue, I'm now joined in studio by Meru County Governor Peter Munya. Thank you for your time this afternoon. Let's begin with what your position as Meru County Governor is on this matter.
Well, at the beginning, when we got the news, we did not get the clear information of what the county commissioners was to do extra and what they do today. So we thought that they were being extended powers to do county functions. When we met the president yesterday, he clarified to us that they are coordinating functions of national government at the county level. So we don't expect any interference in our functions from the county commissioners. And we wanted it to be made very clear that coordinating doesn't mean coordinating functions for counties, because counties have their own structures and their own government at the county level to run their own affairs. So if they are coordinating functions that are meant to be run by national government, we have no problem with that.
Okay. In that clarification, very important, because initially you had come out together with some other members of the Council of Governors to decry the move by the President, and therefore just good to that you've clarified that you did meet the President yesterday and he laid out exactly what the functions of the county commissioners are. But let's move on to what do you want, or rather, who do you want to oversee the implementation of national government functions at county level? We do know that some functions have not yet been devolved, such as security, such as education.
Well, we've said, and it's clear, we don't have any problem with an official of the national government coordinating national functions at the county level. But there are functions that are also shared, because things are not as clear as, clear lines. There are functions that are shared also between the national government and the county governments. In that situation, we will expect harmony between the national government and the county government in changing those functions. But we really don't have any problem with an officer of the national government coordinating national government functions. But we also have to differentiate between coordination and actually doing. For example, we will not expect a county commissioner to start giving orders to police on what to do, because police functions are independent. Police are supposed to act independent of any, any authority. So coordinating should not be interpreted to mean mentoring. It is also not be interpreted to mean taking over functions from a department. So even though they are national functions, there are specific departments that are supposed to do those functions. So the role of the commissioner is only to coordinate them so that they are able to undertake those duties properly. And just like for counties, at the sub-county level, I have a sub-county administrator who is supposed to coordinate our team at the sub-county level or at the ward level in the changing county functions.
And you touched on the police, and let me just draw you towards security. We've had major security scares in the country, and none of this is ever really directed to the county government in terms of blame and in terms of accountability, but more towards the national government. Now, it was seen from some quarters that when the President delegated some of these functions to the county commissioners, that in essence it was supposed to help manage better issues such as security and also issues such as the deaths, for instance, caused by the illicit brew, which again are directed towards the national government in terms of blame, but never really the county government. So as the governors, who then would you rather manage security? Would that be better directed towards the national government or the county government?
You know, security is clearly in the constitution a national government function. But security is so wide that it is not possible for one arm of the government to completely deal with security without involvement of other arms of government.
So how should the national government
If you look at
manage
the counties, most times when there is a crisis, and we have experienced it, the citizens tend to go to the governor's office. They don't go to the county commissioner. There were problems in Imeru another time, and demonstrators came when the police, robbed us and killed people in the town. There have been robberies. The demonstrations came to my office. I had to call the county commissioner and the other police to rush to discuss the matter to see how to solve it. So even though we say it's a national function, we need to work out modalities on how to handle security for all of us. Even as we say, remember, we also say security, again, even citizens have to get to be involved. So handling security holistically will require an involvement of not just the police, not just the county commissioner, even the county governments themselves. You have seen county governments also even chipping in terms of giving vehicles, sometimes in terms of giving fuel to the police to be able to handle security. Because even though it's a national function, there is no way a county government can keep aside. People are being killed, things are happening, and you are just sitting there because it's not your function. It won't happen. It's not the reality on the ground. Is people tend to go to the political end of the government, the nearest one, to seek help when there is a problem.
So you feel that with more involvement from the county government as far as security matters are concerned, and not just the county commissioners, but governors as well, that security will be handled better than it has been handled
Absolutely.
previously.
And when we were with the president, we even discussed and reminded him that there is a county policing authority that has not yet been put in place, and it is there in the law, which brings the county governor and the commissioner and the police in handling some issues relating to security, especially community policing. We said we need to operationalize that authority so that some of the challenges that we experience can be addressed at that level. And they said it's okay, it's going to be done. They told us they will set the rules as soon as then those people can be recruited. The people who are supposed to have in that commission can be recruited to do the job.
Right.
We are also meeting with the security team on Friday in Naivasha again to work out, to see how we can work together on security matters.
June 12th.
But the point I was making, which is very important, is that even as we help the police and do all these things, we must also let the police do their work unfettered. We would not want to go back to situations where DCs used to give orders to the police on what to do, because that is not their training. We would not want also politics to interfere with police work.
Okay. And let's move away from that and move to the fact that the budget will soon be read on the 12th of June. Estimates are that the county government will be allocated 226 billion, but there's been a push from county governments to at least get 240 billion. Is the push still on?
Well, the push was there at the beginning, and we did make our case to the Revenue Commission, the CRA. We made our case again in the Economic Council, where the Deputy President is the chair. And there was an general agreement that we needed to be given 208 billion. When later the bills were being tabled, we realized that that decision was not honored, because it was a decision made at the Economic Budget and Economic Council that brings governors and the Deputy President. We were given explanations yesterday that they looked at the economic projections, economic growth, instead of looking at the revenue growth. And we said it was wrong, because they needed to look at the revenue growth, because what we are sharing is revenue. We are not sharing economic growth, we are sharing revenue. So if revenues are growing at 12%, then it is important for the counties to get a share of that revenue, and we could have a share of that revenue. So we are not happy with that decision. But there is really nothing we can do now. Budgets are already rolling out. We are saying we need to look that into the future. We are also asking Senate, because the protector of counties at the national level, the body that is supposed to make sure that counties get their fair share of national revenue, is the Senate. But we can see Senate just endorsing whatever comes from the National Assembly, instead of revising it and taking care of the interests of the counties.
And still talk on extravagance in terms of management of county resources continues. Can you say, and not just Meru County, but just looking at the country as a whole, can you say that from a holistic point of view, that counties have developed, that indeed the monies that are being allocated to these counties are going into the much desired development? Are we at a better place than we were before the devolved system of government?
Certainly, Lillian, we are at a better place. Even go to the rural areas, you can see things that were not happening. Go to Meru town today, you see parking lots done, streets are cleaner, the town is decongested. That was not happening during the county government. Go into the rural areas, you see roads are being done. People are not complaining about inaccessible, not being able to access their farms or their homes now. Go to the hospitals, drugs are there in all hospitals across the county. So things that were not able to be done at the national level because the country is big are now able to be done very well at the county level. There are many challenges, of course, for sure. There is, I admit, there's a lot of waste. In terms of budgets being spent in travel and all those things. There is then even a bigger challenge. Most of our money are going to paying salaries. All the staff that were at the national level were devolved, and the salaries were devolved. For example, in Meru we are spending 60% of our revenue on paying salaries. Just salaries, not even operations. 60%. Over 2.6 billion going to salaries.
Okay. I suppose the challenge then would be that the county generates revenue to be able to afford.
County must generate more revenue, look for more innovative ways of generating the revenue.
Right. And as we wind up, Mheshimiwa, let's talk about the new word in town, impeachment, and the tiff between governors and MCAs. There's been a wave of impeachment in the country. Has this hampered your ability to work? How are you managing this situation personally, and what are your views on what has currently been happening regarding the relationship between MCAs?
Certainly there is misuse of that power that is given to the assemblies to remove governors. It is there in the law, but the way it is being used is being misused. It is now being done like, who is powerful and who is not powerful. We can remove you. If maybe you disagree of an issue, instead of seeing how to resolve it, you say, now we remove you. And this is going up to the Senate, because you can see even the debate over the impeachment of Wambora. It was not the merit of, whether Wambora had actually committed the crimes that he was accused of committing. It was, again, the Senate trying to show that we are the boss, so we can remove you. So these provisions really needed to be streamlined so that they are used for the purpose they were meant to be used for. Not for settling political scores, not for showing who is more powerful than the other, but they are used for the common good of developing our democracy.
Have you felt
that the assembly is able to check the executive without going overboard?
Have you felt the heat from your MCAs? How are you personally handling the situation yourself?
Personally, perhaps because maybe I don't know whether it's a Meru situation or anything, we've been able to work very well with my assembly. Very well indeed, because whenever we have issues, we meet and discuss. We had issues on budget. I called a retreat last week. We sat down and went through those issues, and we were able to agree. We had issues on a fund they want to create. They are calling County Development Fund. Again, we were able to discuss, and we agreed that if we create more structures that is going to spend money, and we have very little money left for development, we will again defeat the purpose for which that fund is being created. And we were able to agree that we can still be able to spend more money in the wards without duplicating structures that will spend more money. So for us, we have been able to manage.
Right.
But certainly there is always pressure, because there is always pressure. I wouldn't say that it has been no pressure. There has been pressure, but we have managed it to work very well.
Right, and final question as we close, back to the county commissioners issue. Have your powers been clipped as governors, or did you reach a consensus yesterday with the president and have functions clearly been outlined? So are you in a safer place to now say that you still remain the county bosses?
Well, as far as we are concerned, our functions are known. They are clear in the Constitution. Some of them have not yet been devolved, like roads, mainly roads. We are working on how to devolve them. We are elected by the people. So we have a bigger mandate than a county commissioner. A county commissioner is a civil servant sent there by a national government to work for the national government. We have a mandate. We are elected by the people. We have a government to run. So we cannot compare ourselves with county commissioners. And I'm sure no governor will let his power be curtailed by a civil servant.
Will it then not continue to be a push and shove, or are you in a working, have you found a working formula between you and the county commissioners, seeing that they have been, these roles have been delegated to them?
I am sure, Lillian, in where, their county commissioners work very well with their governors, and those who continue working very well. There are others who want to go overboard, to try to to usurp powers of the county governor. But the county governor is elected, so there is nothing you can do. Okay. It's like the president at the national level. The county governor at the county level is executive who is elected by the people. He has a bigger mandate than just being employed and sent somewhere.
Okay.
So we hope we will smoothen the relationship so that we all work together.
Okay. Thank you very much.
But it will depend on, individuals, relationships, and all that.
And egos. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. We've been speaking to Peter Munya, Governor, Meru County. Of course, this coming after President Uhuru gave more powers to county commissioners, saying they would complement the governors by discharging the duties of the national government that are yet to be devolved to the counties. Thank you for staying with Live at 1. We'll be right back. Don't go far.